Hello, welcome to Extraordinary Women TV with Shannon Skinner. I'm your host. On today's show, we'll be talking about empowering women and girls, but in very different areas, with two different guests. My first guest is Beverley Wybrow. She is the president and CEO of Canadian Women's Foundation. She'll be talking about how to be a philanthropist. Later in the segment, before we take a break, I'll have my regular Good to Know Minute when I ask my guests for their top success tip. You're going to hear Beverley's. And in the second half of the show, we'll be talking about electing women in politics in Canada. Very important topic, so stay tuned for that one. Well, my first guest is Beverley Wybrow. She is the president and CEO of Canadian Women's Foundation. And the foundation is a public foundation designed to raise and grant funds to meet specific needs of women and girls across Canada. It is one of the 10 largest women's foundations in the world. And Beverley, it is such a pleasure to have you here today.
Thank you, Shannon. I'm pleased to be here.
And you look lovely in that color purple, I have to say.
Thank you. Purple's a good, strong color.
Now, you have been with the foundation for
20 years.
20 years.
Yes.
You're celebrating an anniversary.
Yes, and I've been there the entire time. So it's the 20th anniversary of the foundation and my 20th anniversary as well.
Well, congratulations.
Thank you.
And we're going to be talking more about what the foundation does. But let's trace your career. I mean, what were you doing prior to your work with the foundation? A while ago.
A while ago.
Just a while ago.
Yeah. Well, I've actually always worked on women's issues and in the social services sector. I am one of the founders of the Assaulted Women's Helpline, which now serves all of Ontario. And I did a lot of work with the Toronto YWCA and a lot of other organizations in a volunteer capacity. And just before joining the foundation, I was with the Ontario Women's Directorate. So I've really had a focus on women and girls in my career.
Yeah, you've won a number of awards as well.
Yes.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Now, would you say that you are a champion for women and girls in Canada?
Yes. That's an easy question. I would say yes, I am. My life work has shown me that when you invest in women and girls, it's a really effective way to change the world, because when you help women, they go on to help their children, their families, their communities, and there's a really strong ripple effect. So changing things for women and girls, or giving them the opportunities to change things for themselves, is really a really strong investment and a great way to build a better world.
Is this something that you had to face when you were younger?
Well, I think all of us as women have seen around us some of the struggles that women and girls have dealt with. Growing up, I grew up in a family where I was encouraged to take advantage of opportunities and go to university and do things that not all girls were doing at that point. But I certainly did see around me the situations that women were struggling with in terms of various forms of violence, the effects of living in poverty, especially for single mothers, and it was something that I became very interested in.
Well, I was reading on your website, 1 in 7 women in Canada live in poverty.
Yeah.
I just was astounded by that figure.
I think people tend to think more about women in other countries when they think about poverty and violence, and there isn't enough awareness that women in Canada still face significant challenges around poverty. And of course, when women are poor, their children are poor.
Right.
And violence is still a major barrier for women as well. And while things have changed, certainly in the last 20 or 30 years, and there are some good advances for girls, for example, they can choose wider career horizons and so on. There are some issues for girls that are quite alarming, in particular the hypersexualization of girls, the media messages that they get about their value as a person is in how they look,
Right.
and the growing explosion of pornography and things that can really make life difficult for girls. So while there have been positive changes, there also are new challenges that we're working on.
Poverty, violence is another one of the
Yes.
topics you touch on. And I was reading on your website the stat: every 6 days, another woman in Canada has lost her life at the hands of a husband or boyfriend.
Yes.
And again, that was another figure that
Yeah.
that actually shocked me.
Yeah. I think also people don't realize that every day in Canada there are over 3,000 women and children in a shelter for abused women as well.
Right.
So it is a major problem, and there have been advances, and there have been some positive changes, but there's still a lot of work to do, and it's still a very major barrier for women.
So let's talk about what is the Canadian Women's Foundation and what does it do?
Well, the Canadian Women's Foundation is Canada's public foundation for women and girls. We're a community of individual donors, mostly women, and corporate partners who are working together to empower women and girls in Canada to move out of poverty, out of violence, and into confidence. So we invest in the power of women and the dreams of girls.
I love that. You invest in the power of women and dreams of girls.
Yes, and one of our wonderful donors had a saying that she really loved, which is, when women have power, girls can dream. And I think that's very true, because it's very important role modeling for girls.
And of course, your foundation just got an amazing gift.
We did.
Yeah.
One of the donor who loved that saying, when women have power, girls can dream, was a wonderful woman named Anne Southam. And she was one of Canada's leading composers. She was involved with us as a donor, as a volunteer, as a spokesperson for over 12 years. And she sadly died last year. And she left the foundation the most amazing gift of over $14 million, which is the largest gift that a Canadian women's organization has ever received. So it was a surprise. She'd been very generous while she was alive, but we had no idea that was her intention. It was really her gift to the women of Canada.
I suppose that's the kind of thing that is bittersweet.
Yes,
Right.
absolutely, because we miss her a great deal. But I know that she was one of the founders of our Girls Fund, and I know that she really cared about giving all girls the opportunity to have the best life they could, and she really felt that she could make a change for women and girls across Canada, and so she made a spectacular gift that we, most of the money will be endowed to help make the foundation permanent for the women of the country. And we're also going to be able to double the amount of work that we're doing in our Girls Fund because of that. So we're very excited about that too. So it is bittersweet, and we miss her dearly, but it was an amazing gift from an amazing woman.
So let's talk a bit about some of the initiatives then, your programs of the foundation, so that people have an understanding of what.
Sure. Well, we first of all raise money and create a community of donors who are interested in helping women and girls. And in particular, as I mentioned, we have a lot of women donors who are really interested in helping other women. So that's one half of our work, is building that community of donors who want to see a different world by investing in women and girls. And then we take the money and we invest in programs to help low-income women move out of poverty, either through self-employment training so that they can start their own small businesses, or through giving them the skills and support that they need to move into careers in trades and technology jobs. Yeah. In the violence against women area, we fund a lot of prevention work. The women who started the foundation were very interested in addressing the root causes of issues. So we fund education programs with teenagers, both girls and boys, around how to develop healthy relationships and prevent abuse in relationships. And in the area of violence against women, we also help women and children to rebuild their lives after they've experienced violence by giving them various kinds of support, counseling, and access to emergency loan funds and other supports. And then our Girls Fund, we fund programs for girls ages 9 to 13. And they are essentially empowerment programs that operate in a variety of different ways. Some of them are science clubs, some of them are physical activity programs, some of them are leadership programs all over the country, but they all have a common goal of empowering girls and giving them the skills that they need to be successful in their lives.
Well, it sounds like a worthy foundation.
I think so.
You must love what you do.
I love what I do, and I'm very privileged. It's a great privilege in life to do work that you love and to do work that makes a difference in the world, and to do it with people that you love and respect is the icing on the cake, so you can't ask for more than that, Shannon.
Well, you know, and that leads me into my break, which is my Good to Know Minute.
Okay.
And I know you've got a great tip.
I do, and it's really based on my life experience. My tip is my life experience has shown that it's really absolutely amazing what we can accomplish when we work together. So if we take the time to help us focus on common goals and build community together, we can collaborate, work together, and change the world.
Well, that sounds good to me, and that is good to know. Well, we're going to take a quick break, and when we come back, more with Beverley Wybrow, who's here with the Canadian Women's Foundation, and we'll be talking about how you can become a philanthropist. So stay right there. Welcome back to the show. I'm Shannon Skinner, and I'm joined by Beverley Wybrow, who is the President and CEO of Canadian Women's Foundation. We've been having a lovely discussion about the importance of investing in women and girls. Now, philanthropy. Let's talk a bit about philanthropy.
Sure.
What is it?
Well, first of all, Shannon, I think a lot of people think philanthropy is something that only rich people do, and that's not true. Philanthropy is really, it's the giving of money and it's the giving of time, volunteering as well as giving money. And it's something women have always done, particularly volunteering. But there's been a real movement in the last 20 or 30 years of the growing importance of women in philanthropy. And as I mentioned earlier, you know, we had a wonderful donor who gave us a $14 million gift, and we have many donors who give us $100 a year. And our power comes from our pooling of those resources together, and what we're able to accomplish by putting together a big pool of resources from a lot of us that can work to change things. So people should think of themselves as a philanthropist if they give money, if they give time, and even informally. You know, women especially do a lot of informal volunteering with their families and with their communities, and that's all part of philanthropy as well.
Well, it's a very different way of looking at philanthropy, I think, as you pointed out, than most people do. I mean, it's true that I think the general population thinks in order to be a philanthropist, you need to have significant wealth.
Yes, yes. So and I think women approach philanthropy differently than men as well. There's been some interesting research on that. Women get involved in giving of time and money because they really want to know that what they give is going to make a difference. And that's the most important motivation for women. It's more important than recognition or having their name on a plaque. They really want to know what their contribution is going to accomplish. They're also very interested in root causes of issues, and women tend to take a longer term view, so that if we can educate girls, for example, or educate girls and boys about healthy relationships, we'll be able to address the root causes of some of the issues. And women are very interested and understand that.
So philanthropy, you know, even I had always sort of thought of philanthropists as being people who are quite wealthy, well-heeled, perhaps live in Rosedale, Forest Hill, who have a lot of disposable income, and they give. But you're saying there's a different way of looking at philanthropy.
Yeah, it's you know, many Canadians give, and lots of women give, and give up their time and of their money. And I think increasingly women are interested in philanthropy and interested in finding out how their giving can make a difference. And for women, that seems to be the main motivator, much more so than recognition or having their name on a plaque. They really want to know what difference their contribution of both time and money is going to make. And they're also very interested in addressing root causes of issues. I think women understand instinctively that if we can build strong girls with strong skills, and if we can help teenagers, girls and boys, to understand how to have a healthy relationship, that will help to prevent problems in the future. And so women are interested in that kind of long-term view.
Right.
And that women are also interested in being part of a community and being with people who share their values. And that really gets women excited because they feel like they belong to something that is building a better world in the way that they think is important. So.
Now, I know that you have some tips on how women and our viewers can become a philanthropist for the holiday season and beyond.
Yes, yes.
So
year-round.
Year-round, that's right. Respect your own thinking.
Yeah, so I think it's important that when women are thinking about where they want to give their money and their time, that they think about their values and they think about some of the more common traditional ways that women think about collaborating, about understanding the need to work together, and that they keep those values in mind, and that they also keep in mind that we're not going to solve the world's problems unless we have the contributions of half of its population. So
right.
The ability to invest in other women and girls is really important to women.
Now, what about raise your blood pressure just a little? Okay, I have to know. This is a tip.
Well, we like to encourage women to think about something that really excites them. Your philanthropy should be something that makes you feel really good. If you're giving a gift on behalf of somebody else, it can give twice. It can make you feel good and it can make them feel good at the same time. But it really should be something that raises your blood pressure, that makes you just a little bit angry or a little bit excited, or something that you can really connect to. And we think that's important for women to think about when they're thinking about philanthropy.
Just not raising their blood pressure too much.
No, although we also encourage people to give a little bit more than they're comfortable with.
Right. Get out of their comfort zone.
That's that's another way to raise your blood pressure just a little bit.
Now, what about start a giving circle?
Yeah, a lot of people, especially at this time of year, are looking for ways where they can give with groups of people, either co-workers, instead of exchanging small gifts in the office. A lot of offices now, the people contribute their money into a pool and then they work together to pick a charity that interests them all. Or you can do that with your book club. You can do it with a mother's group, mom's group that
right.
you belong to. There's a lot of different groups that we're part of, and these days people are, I think, not so interested in having a lot of small gifts from people. I think a lot of people are really interested in doing something charitable, and it's a great way to have a wonderful conversation with your group about what are your values and what would excite us as a group, and how could we go about helping women and girls, for example.
How about involve your kids?
Yes, a lot of our donors are very, very interested in teaching their children about philanthropy. And one of the best ways to do that is to give your children even a small amount of money, $20, $10, and tell them that it's to make a gift to change something in the world, and then to work with them to learn and to figure out where they would like to give their money and what kinds of things do they care about. A lot of kids, care about animals, or care about the environment, or they are really interested in helping people who are hungry, or they want to help other kids like themselves. So it's a good practice to get into, and that's something that you don't have to do just at the holidays. You can actually do that year-round. You can talk to your children about taking a small amount out of their allowance every week until they build up a little pool of money, and then deciding with them where they would like to spend it. So it's a great way of introducing your kids to the idea of giving. And I think for a lot of us, certainly that was part of my background, and part of the reason why I'm so interested in philanthropy, because I saw my parents do it and we were encouraged to think about it as well. So I think it's a great practice to get into with your kids.
Well, what a great way to start with a little piggy bank and fill it up and get a bigger piggy bank and fill that up and get a bigger piggy bank for kids. I mean, wouldn't that be exciting?
Yeah. And those kinds of donations are just as important to us. You know, when we get a donation from, you know, a child that you know, we know has come from their piggy bank and they've put their pennies together to help other girls, for example, that's a really meaningful gift to us.
Now, how about this last one? Help yourself too.
Yeah, I think one of the reasons over the years why women perhaps haven't made as many of their own decisions about philanthropy is, I think, somehow they felt it's wrong to give to themselves. And we don't believe it is. That if you're making the world better for women and girls, you're making the world better for yourself as well. And we think that's a good thing to do. We think it's a good thing to invest in yourself at the same time as you're investing in other women and girls. So, you know, traditionally women have supported children's causes, health issues, and we want to encourage women to think about giving in a way that invests in themselves too.
Well, Beverley, I've really enjoyed this time with you. If anyone wants to contact you or find out more information about the organization, where do they go on the website?
The best place to go is our website, which is www.canadianwomen.org. And we have a great website, and they can see the work that we're doing and find out about philanthropy and make a gift online if they'd like.
Well, I wish you all the best, and thanks for taking your time to come on the show and sharing your story today with my viewers.
Thanks, Shannon. I've really enjoyed it. Thanks very much.
I've been speaking with Beverley Wybrow, who is the President and CEO of the Canadian Women's Foundation. So again, for more information, you can visit the website at canadianwomen.org. You can also visit my website at extraordinarywomentv.com. Follow me on Twitter, Shannon_Skinner. I tweet about my guests and my shows, so you can find me there as well, and you can find out information about Beverley too. So, now we're just before we take a break, or we are going to take a quick break, and when we come back, I am going to introduce you to my next guest, Donna Daskow, who is one of Canada's leading pollsters and public opinion analysts. If there's somebody in Canada who has the finger on the pulse of what Canadians think, it is Donna. She's also the National Chair of Equal Voice, which is all about electing women in politics. So stay tuned.